Hi guys, come to Camila's hair with me while I tell you guys a little bit of a concern that I've been having with her. So Camila has two friends. They have the same name, by the way. So one of them is going to be VE, the other one VM. So VE, she's known since last year. They were in the same class for pre-K. So when she started this year, she was super excited because she had her friend from last year. And as the weeks went by, another girl with the same name, VM, got introduced to the friend group. So now it's three of them. And anytime I would ask her about school or about recess or about her friends, it was always about these two V's. But recently I asked her, how was recess? Did you play with your friends? She goes, yeah. And it was very quiet. But then as I was talking to her dad on the phone, she whispers in my ear, "Well, VM, this is a new girl. VM told me she wanted some alone time with VE. Since we were in the same class last year, she wants to have some alone time with her." And I said, "Okay, so what did you do?" She says, "I went to go play with my other friends." So I asked her, "What are your other friends' names?" And she named me three other little girls that I actually have seen her hug after school or say like bye. So and so, so I was like, okay, cool. Like on one side it made me feel good that she has other friends, but on the other side, like I was just really like a little bit heartbroken that my daughter's getting excluded from this group. So I'm not gonna lie, I kept kind of pushing it because it just didn't sit well with me. I kept asking her, like, well, do they do this to you all the time? Which M is it? Which V is it? And from my understanding, they don't do it to her all the time, just sometimes, I guess. But the girl who is usually saying these things to Camila is a VM, so the new friend. The other one, she has never said VE told me this. It's always VM said this. So, okay, I let it go because at the end, she was just like, I don't want to talk about it no more, mom. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm pushing a little bit too hard. So, 3 days later or so, I asked her, did you play with both of your friends at recess? And she goes, not really. So I asked her, why not? She said, well, they kept running away from me. And I'm like, well, what do you mean they kept running away from you? She said, yeah, I was trying to like chase them, but they kept running away from me. And I kept telling them, like, guys, recess is going to be over soon and we're not going to have time to play. And that broke my heart again. I was just like, oh, hell no. But I remained composed and I said, okay, mama, I think next time what you should do is just ask them, do you guys want to play with me? Yes or no? That way they know that you need a yes or no answer. And if they say no or if they run away, you tell them, I'm going to go play with my other friends. And you go play with your other friends. And she goes, but what if I want to play with them again? And I said, you can. Maybe tomorrow at recess, they won't do that to you. But if they do that to you again, you ask them again, do you guys want to play with me? Yes or no? Now, again, remember, VE, that was her friend from last year, but my understanding has never said anything to her. It's always the other girl. So then I said to her, what you can also do, Mamash, you can say, hey, VE, do you want to play with me? You ask her directly, do you want to play with me? You don't have to talk to the other girl if she doesn't want to play with you. So the day after, her dad gets home from work and I explained to him, the situation. I also mentioned the prior conversation that I had with Camila. He, of course, also gives her some advice. I reinstate the same conversation that I already had with her. And it just made me realize that this is probably the hardest part so far of parenting for myself because I want to protect my child, but I can't protect her at school, because I'm not with her. But at the same time, I want her to learn how to communicate with people and be very firm with her questions, her answers, her responses. And I want her to be outspoken. And I don't want her to, in other words, I don't want her to take shit from anybody, whether that's, a stranger, a friend, a teacher, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. So I think this is going to be a really good learning lesson, not just for her, but for myself as a parent. But now I'm going to be super attentive. I'm going to ask her every day, how did school went? How was recess? And make sure that it doesn't escalate to more. Um, but I really hope that things do go back to the way it was, and maybe it's just a phase for these girls because they were doing very well at the beginning of the school year. But I guess we'll see.